Hello, everyone. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for another episode of, or I should say episode, for another live MyExpert training webinar. And so I love these. In these training webinars, they're really fun because we get to go in depth on certain features that, I feel are very helpful. They're helpful to me when I discover them. And so I'm very eager to share with you today. Today's MyExpert live training webinar is on SignMaster. I'm going to share some of the design features in SignMaster that really make it a great tool to have. It comes free, of course. SignMaster Basic comes free with your vinyl system specialist cutters. And then if you have an Edge or an Evo cutter, you're going to get the SignMaster Pro, which is the version I'll be using today. But these features, if I'm not mistaken, are available in SignMaster Basic as well. Now, if you're using a different graphic design software, these tools are very specific to this. You might also have them, but they're going to look a heck of a lot different in Illustrator or CorelDRAW. So if you're using one of those other programs, today's episodes might, maybe you'll get some inspiration from this webinar, but these tools are very specific to this program, but which we wanted to share because we love training our customers on SignMaster. I'm a huge fan of Vinyl Systems cutters. I think, and it's not just because there are cutters, but I really think that they're probably the best value in the vinyl cutter market. I'm a big fan. So this is SignMaster Pro. Now today, just to give you a heads up, I am going to be talking about the warp tool and the shadowing tools. We're going to be dealing mostly with text today, but you could really do this for anything. So to get started, I'm going to use something very, very simple. We're just going to use a phrase. And so you guys saw this on the preview, and I don't know why that's so small. Let's make this text, this font a little bit bigger so everyone can see what I'm doing here. So I'm just trying to be a little clever. I'm just typing up something. Catch me if you can, right? We're going to make this a little cute. So right here, I'm going to, center my text. And then I'm going to pick a cool, not too crazy, but a fun font. Is that cool? That's not very cool. That's not really the coolest font we have. Let's try, I don't know, let's try something else. And if you're not familiar with SignMaster Pro, like you haven't even touched it yet, what's cool about the text is that all the fonts that are on your computer, they already come loaded into SignMaster Pro. You can access them a few places. So these are all the fonts that are already on my computer. As you can see, I have a lot of repeats, but decent selection of fonts here. Another way to access the fonts is over here on your tools tab. Now, if you don't even see that right here where it says tools, in this corner, you're going to click on the tools button. And now so it's going to open, I love the align, space, and distribute tools, but there's other tools here. And then there's like text tools to where you can, again, access all these fonts. There's a few different places to do it. So you're never far from your font selection. I don't have that many amazing fonts. I wish I had like amazing fonts. I feel like I have like standard. I just have basic fonts. So I'm just going to pick one really quick for the sake of picking one. And this Porter one looks pretty cool. Okay, so we're going to do a few things to this font. So let's just, and this is for like, if you're designing a shirt, there's lots of really cool things that you could put on your shirts. Text-based shirts, they're really easy, especially if you're working with heat transfer vinyl. It's a very simple way of making a shirt very attractive and cool. So we have the basic text. Let's, it's cool. If you have a cool phrase, put that on. It's going to look great. Cool phrase and a cool font, can't beat it. But what I'm going to show you today is how we can add just a little bit more pizzazz, if you will. So right here on the left-hand side, you're going to see this. It's, vector effects. That's what they're called. It's like a little T over here with a shadow, vector effects. I'm going to click on that, and we're going to get a few options here. I'm not really going to cover the multi-outline and multi-inline, nor will I cover the inline effect. These three, I'm not going to say they're useless. I'm sure you will be able, some of you will be able to find use for them. But for today's topic, I'm just going to kind of gloss over those ones. So we're going to open up the outline module. I like this a lot because we say, well, what's an outline? Well, here it is. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to change it to a different color so we can actually see what we're doing. I picked this really bright green just so we could see what we're doing on screen here. So it's really easy. All you do is I'm going to click up, and you see how it's going to create an outline 1% bigger on all sides than this. You can also go, if you have a specific like width, like in millimeters, you could put like, hey, I want the outline to be exactly 2 millimeters, hit enter, 2 millimeters away, or whatever. So you can go either one. I usually just go by the percent till it fills up. And if you're having a hard time tracking that bright green, let's go for a red. I think that'll be a little bit easier on the eyes. There we go. So you see here, I'm able to adjust it, and it's going to give me a live preview of how to do it. Now, what I personally love is, you know, sometimes you trace something and it's kind of rounded on the corners. You see here on this A and this T, for example, the corners are a little rounded. Let's zoom in a little closer so we can all see that. All right, I love that it has the sharp feature. You also have round, which makes it really round, which is cool. And then mitered, which has tiny little, I don't know if you can see, we have to zoom in a little bit further to see that. But mitered means it just has these like little corners on it. Personally, I almost like always go for the sharp. That's just how I like it. And we're going to dial this back a little bit. So, okay, so you see where it says keep holes. If I uncheck that, it's just going to fill in. You see how at the center of the A, if you keep the hole, it's going to keep that hole. But if you sometimes you want a solid fill, and you just uncheck that. When you have it to your liking, you just hit accept. And now you have a background. This is really great when you're layering your heat transfer vinyl and you just really want it to, you need it to kind of stand out. Use the outline module. Okay, I'm going to delete that. And then the outline module, it's that simple. You just go over here to the left-hand toolbar. You select the item that you want to mess with. And then outline module will take you there. Okay, so next up, the next tool I'm going to show you is the drop shadow tools. And you just click it, and then you guys see this here. Can I change this to a different color? Yes, we're going to change that to red. So I'm going to zoom in. There are a few controls that might be hard to see on your screen right now, but they're there, I promise you. So the drop shadow, you see this little yellow X here? I can grab it, and I can actually move, adjust the angle to my drop shadow. So I can have it real nice and tight, you know, for a very subtle shadow effect. I can pull it away a little bit, be a little bit more drastic. And then here at the top, there's a little bar here. And if you have your mouse over it, it'll tell you that this is the inset. So I'm going to click it and I'm going to drag it down a little bit to where there is no inset. I can drag it up a little bit, make the inset. And the inset is, you see how there's a gap between the black layer and the red layer? We can increase that gap a little bit if we want. It depends. It really just depends on what look you're going for. You know, and I encourage you to give it a try. Try, you know, different angles, try different depths, different closeness. You know, there's going to be all these different effects that you can achieve. You can just be real dramatic with it. You know, it really depends on your graphic, on what you're doing, and how your graphics are going to look in the end. But I'm happy with this here. And so, so once you're ready, you can just kind of right-click it and click Convert to Curves. That's going to render the effect. And so now, oh, now they're still together. And if you want to separate them, you just hit Ungroup, right-click, hit Ungroup, and now here's my shadow on the left. Here's my shadow on the right. And you can even preview like different colors. Like, hey, what would this look like with a yellow shadow, with a green shadow, blue, you know? So you could mess with it, continue to mess with the colors, and until you have something that you're just really stoked on. So we're going to do this again. And so that's drop. Here is my favorite right here. I love the block shadow. Because this, I used to try to do this effect manually by drawing things out, extruding edges and whatever. It would just take forever. And what I love about this, we could even change the color if we want to. What I love about this is you could just edit it. Again, there's a little center text, little crosshairs that we can grab it. So we could change the angle a little bit. And then out here, if you grab one of the corners, you can kind of change the perspective, like how far is it popping out, you know? So that's going to change your perspective. And you can take it all the way out, make it huge. You can drag it all the way out, to your heart's desire, you know, this is a really great way to add some like really intense and dramatic depth. And again, I really like it for my text designs because sometimes you have a really clever saying and it's really cool for your brand. It's just for whatever reason, the clothing is not incredibly attractive. We're not saying that it's not attractive, but it's not like catching enough eyes, you know? And so I'm trying to mess with the inset a little bit. Might have to zoom in for that. Let's zoom in. So we're going to zoom in real close so I can adjust the inset to my particular liking. I want it pretty tight on the text. We're going to right click and we're going to convert it to curves, and then we're going to ungroup it. Right click again and oh, maybe it's already ungrouped. No, we're going to right click again and there it is, and ungroup it. So now our center text, we can make that pink, you know, and again, we can continue to mess with the colors until it's exactly where we want it. But what I love is that, you know, we can just keep on going. And then a simple phrase, you know, again, cool phrase, cool font. It's neat. But then if you could just add a little bit more pizzazz to it, it's going to make your clothing that much more attractive. And even then we could even do this as a single color graphic, and it's still a little bit more dramatic and kind of cool and intriguing, you know? So there we go. That's the block shadow tool. Something that's been getting pretty popular these days is, now I don't want to infringe on anyone's anything, but there's basically every variation. So this is the anti-cutter cutter club, right? And of course we do want it to be in I think this font kind of works. So now here's what I'm going to do. The only thing I haven't been able, probably the only downside is adjusting line height. So give me just a quick second. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to group each line. And then we're going to arrange them together. Now this also gives me a chance to show you. I love how easy the align, space, and distribute tools are. So you can align everything to the left, align it right. Of course, I want to align it center. And then if you want to evenly space every line, you just go to distribute, and it's on vertical, so you just hit apply. And now there's a perfectly even space in between every item. I use that for everything. I am very particular about keeping everything lined up and evenly spaced. So now I'm just going to right click these and I'm going to group them all together. Now here's a really fun tool. And again, in other vector design software, this is not that easy. So we're going to have the flag module, right? And let's zoom in so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So I clicked my shape, or in this case, my text, and then I clicked on the right here, the distortions. And now there's these little points that I can adjust. And now you see here, so like you don't even have to have you don't have to be crazy at graphic design anymore, guys. You don't have to have like super mad skills to do these cool things. Like there's tools here in SignMaster that'll do it for you, which heck yeah, you know. And yeah, and you can mess with this to your heart's desire. I'm just kind of proving a point here. Click on this and then boom, anti-cutter cutter club. And you could honestly do this if you guys are if you know what this is. It's just a parody on this really popular, and it's popular here in Southern California. No idea how this is doing elsewhere, but it's the anti-social social club. Everybody ripped them off, and it's just fun to have fun with this. So yeah, these warp tools, they're incredible, and I'm just going to Control Z my way out of that. There we go. And there's other warp tools too. One thing that I did like that was really cool, and of course 2D, like we all have seen this. You can kind of just make it like, wow, like look like it's at an angle or something like that, you know? Oh, how cool. And it is pretty cool to add some perspective to that. You could combine that perspective with the block shadow and just send your block shadow the other way. And now this is like, this looks like it's really just jumping out of your, it looks like it's just really jumping out of your t-shirt. So that's a way that you can, you know, use it and just really have it. Shrink it. Oh, that's one thing I forgot to mention, you guys. You can shrink your like how round it is. You can keep it just really tight. And of course, you could change like the angle, the depth. So now, what was just a simple something, this is just really, it looks like it's just bursting out of the t-shirt. Again, we're adding some dimension. We're adding some of these really cool effects to get basic text. Again, I know it's very popular. I do it myself. You get a cool phrase, you put it in a cool font. That's one thing. Now you got a cool phrase and a cool font, and you have it with some dimension. You have just that extra touch and design that's gonna make people just want to buy all your stuff. Yeah, so it's really, really fun, really, really cool. And again, these are just two tools here. These are our vector tools and our distortion tools. One that I really like from the distortion tools is the corner tool. And so it's just like, I don't know why I like this tool so much. It works better on like solids, but just really weird. It's really weird tools. Anyways, oh, and last thing, this is a bonus. There's so much extra clip art here. These are all free vector shapes that if you're working in, the t-shirt industry, you're just gonna save a lot of money. Also, making signs, it's called SignMaster for a reason. They have all these. Anyways, and this is the easiest thing, arc text. So we're gonna go to our text tool here on the left. I'm gonna right click it and go to arc text. This has proven to be the easiest way I've seen to put text on an arc or circle. Okay, and we're gonna zoom in for this. I'm gonna color this blue because I like blue. And we're gonna put this in we're gonna go back to that font. Okay, when working with circle logos, one thing that's always been a pain in the butt for me is just putting text on a circle. And then once I do put it on the circle, what if I need to edit it? I hate all of that. And this has just really proven to be the easiest way to do these things, not only to do on top, but then top and bottom, right? So here's what I mean. You hit enter, and now we are text on the bottom. And just with a click of the button, it's that easy. Or you can move all the text to the bottom, like so, keeping it still oriented, upways. And so, look, I know this might not seem like a big deal to some people, but for me, putting text onto a circle is just, it's one of those tasks that, yes, you could do it in any software, but why is it so hard? Like, why is everything else not this easy? And so anyways, I absolutely love it. And again, this is really great if you have designs that you have a cool font, a cool phrase in a cool font, but you just want to bump it up. You just want to bump up the attractiveness. You want to give a little pizzazz. Maybe you have a really popular shirt, but it's sold well, and now you want a new version of it. Let's mess with these tools. I super encourage you to check out these tools and have a blast with them, an absolute blast with these design tools here in SignMaster Pro. And of course, if I needed any of these, even if you're not using of SignMaster or of a Vinyl Systems cutter, you can just export these and use them with whatever vinyl cutter you got. It's that simple. So whatever we make in here, even if you're using a different cutter, a different program, you just go to File, you export it. You can export this as an SVG, PDF, EPS. Like, you can export it as all these different file types. So it's really, really valuable to have. And I have a couple, and because these tools, they're just so easy, so quick, so easy to do something that, yeah, it's possible with other software. It's just not nearly as fast, not nearly as easy. Okay, well, that's gonna do it for me today. I thank you guys so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you guys have any questions, maybe you're watching the replay of this video and you still have questions, don't worry, go ahead and put them in the comments. We're very actively checking and monitoring the comments of all of our social media. Give us a follow. You can follow our page on Facebook, facebook.com/HeatPressNation. Instagram, we are at HeatPressNation. Twitter, at HeatPressNation. Check us out. That's gonna do it for me today. Once again, my name is Jared. It's been my absolute pleasure being able to host this live training webinar for the SignMaster software, and I hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you around.